all of you every day drive past businesses that you'd like to do business with. You just have no idea what they do. There is science at hand. Most of us, our shops are on streets where the speed limit is 35 or 45. And if the speed limit is 35, most of these shops, if you're in Dallas, if the speed limit's 35, people are doing 45 past your shop. Speed limits are a suggestion in Dallas, and you won't get pulled over on the freeway unless you're doing at least 10 over. And so when we're talking about how big do letters have to be, those types of things, how the question was asked a number of times, well, how long do people have to read my sign before they drive by? If they're doing 45 miles an hour, they have 2 seconds to read your sign. And that is if there's not anything in the way, if there's no trees, if there's no other buildings, no other signs, they have 2 seconds. So that is how quick you have to be. And in order to read, comprehend, and react, it's 8 seconds. So if you're expecting them to turn, like for instance, some of these signs and strategies we're going to talk about in just a second that are actually for promotions and just that day, you have to be really fast. And most of them, you're probably going to have them turn around and come back. So you have to say exactly what you mean right off. And so I'm sharing some of this science with you because I bring a lot of a lot of this. I went to college and paid good money for this, and so I like to share this stuff with you because I geek out on this kind of stuff. Letter visibility chart. It's super basic. If someone is 100 feet away, how big do the letters have to be? They have to be 3 inches if they have perfect 20/20 vision and they're not moving. So there's different variables that come up. And just so you know, the millennials and the new generations, they have a shorter attention span, and that does play into this. At 150 feet, 4 inches, 200 feet, and that's just if they're starting at 200 feet and they have those 2 seconds, it would have to be 6 inches tall. If you're looking like most of the signs, I've got Cisco up there. Most of the signs in Dallas, the letters for, the Denton off ramp and things like that they're 4 inches tall. So if you're like, how big do those letters have to be in order for them to be legible? But you have a long ways. It's a green sign with white lettering, and so you know what you're looking for. They're 4 inches tall. Most of the off ramps and services here, things like that, just so you're getting some sort of familiarity on how big letters are that you're familiar with. Most US highways, they're 4 inches tall. If it's a warning, it's 6 inches tall. And so, but most services and things like that are 4 inches tall. Um, Local codes and regulations, be aware of this. And so this is a screenshot of my own city. And so if you have temporary signage, you have to comply. So we don't want you to buy a banner and put up a sign and then have them come rip it down if you've invested in it. If it's just like it's a temporary event like today only, we haven't ever had a city come in and rip down a today only sign. But we have had them come in if you have temporary signage that doesn't imply that it's short term. Even if it's just a banner stretched between two poles, and they have different regulations in my area, in my city, they have different regulations as opposed to which part of the map you're on in my city. So we have major roads and major commercial roads. You see the C before this. So they have different areas that they have different regulations on. So go check on your city website before you pay a lot of money for a temporary sign on your building or on a fence or things like that. Look at the regulations in your city. It does help to have a relationship with your city when it comes to this kind of thing. But if you don't, just check the regulations and you'll be fine. In my city, a banner like this, you pay $50 and you're good for a month. And that's just in general. And so it does, like I say, it changes in my city. If it's commercial, if it's industrial, everybody on this call, you're in a little bit different area, so check on that. Okay. Make it obvious. auto repair or auto or automotive, those types of things in big letters. And you're gonna see some of these signs. Some of them will kind of, they'll surprise you a little bit, but you have to make it obvious what you do. Function over form. So I was talking about the beautiful building with the beautiful signage. And it's killing me not to tell you who it is because all of you, well, the majority of you know who he is, but he has a gorgeous building, gorgeous signage, and it doesn't work. And so, if you have a white background with black letters that says auto repair, it does better for you than having a gorgeous sign that doesn't say auto repair, that just says, your family name or something like that. So when I'm talking about function, that's what I'm talking about. Instead of it being pretty, it's more important that it's more legible. And so you don't take away the pretty because all of y'all know me, but you have to make sure that it's legible. Clear and legible, larger letters are easier to read. And obviously you can start reading them from further away. Okay, so as y'all are looking at these, and they're intentionally from far back, okay, these are some do's. So Cisco, you've probably seen this actual building, but does everyone know what they do just from driving by really fast? Dallas Car Care?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I would
Fix
think
their
it's auto
cars.
repair.
yeah. So yes, it's a beautiful building, but they did their sign really well because you immediately know what they do. Okay, this one, it's an uglier building, but did they do it right? Yep. So this is way cheaper than the rock that Dallas did, but they just painted their building and put Ace Auto Care on there. So, from clear across the street, you can read what they do. Okay, these ones, nobody knows their company name. This sign is done very wrong, but they did this well, where it says Mercedes, BMW, VW, Jaguar. We all know that they do what kind of, is it general repair? Nope. Modern shaking their heads, no. This is Euro Shop. And they did a great job by putting the brands that people are familiar with. And you can read these from a long ways away. I went to the street view. If you want to look at your building on the street view from Google Maps, that is a great indicator as you're doing a self introspection saying, are people able to see what I do from the street? If you go to that street view, that is a great way to look because that's what people are looking at. Yes, you can stand across your street. When I went to Pierce Family Auto, I stood across the street, I walked down the street, and I took pictures from those vantage points so that we could be effective in their signage. But when we did the street view, that was very telling. Okay, so don'ts. Okay, this one, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on these because this is an auto shop. It says Larry and Waltz, but can you tell it's an auto shop?
No.
Not at all.
Nope. So they're really in love with their logo, and they've been their logo looks like they've been in business a while, but you can't tell what they do. Again, on the sign, they put the money into it. It says Larry and Waltz, but it's in little teeny tiny letters that it's automotive repair, so you can't see it. Okay, how about this one? How about this one?
Looks like
Yeah, I have no idea what they do,
An abandoned gas station.
Ice cream shack.
right? Yeah, it could be an ice cream shop. It could be a drive-through. You know it's a gas station that closed down at some point, but that's all that you know. And they have a ton of parking. And maybe it looks closed just because of the chain link. There's no temporary signage on the chain link. They missed an opportunity there. Their sign, it you can't read it until literally you have to be about 20 feet from that sign before you can read the sign. And by then, you've already missed the entrance by the time you can read the sign. And so that is a don't. And I don't know that individual. I do know this shop up here. They're not a client, but I know them. They're here in Salt Lake. Certified? Oh my goodness. So I will navigate to it. Do you know what certified does? Nope. And you never will because you can't read what else is going on this sign. And they even had another sign because they weren't getting any business, even though they're in a great spot. So they put another sign that you can't read. So, if it were me, I would have certified, but also in big letters, even if it's not true to their logo, I would still have auto repair or automotive or something like that to where you can tell what they do. And a lot of these shops, especially the ones that don't have bays that face the road, they have to have signage that compensates for that. Obviously, if you have bays that face the road, that's awesome that you did that, but you have to have signage that you can read from far away. Is everyone getting everything? I'm seeing a lot of head nodding. Everybody is. They like to look at other companies and tell them what they're doing wrong. Okay. Can anyone tell me what Hanses did wrong? They're in Dallas.
They just missed what they do.
Yeah. So it's European what? Is this a bakery? European what? All of us know what they do, but the common person driving by, the teenage girl, well, the teenage girl that her parents just bought her a VW, she has no idea what they do. If
It's not an
you're,
apostrophe S, so I think it's just saying that that person is European.
yeah,
Hans is European,
Hans is clearly European.
clearly.
So, well, that's good for Hans, I love it, but we have to be honest with ourselves. I love his company name. I think that's fantastic. He did a good job with his lettering. He just missed the key ingredient. We don't know what he does. And so we don't want to spend too much time on that because you all get it. I'm getting a lot of nodding. Um, so one inflatable is good, and Dairy Queen's defense two is better because it looks like a party, right? And these inflatables that are this size, they run about $250 each. And so some of us we might look at that and go, I don't know if I want to spend, the extra $250, but do you see how much more fun it is? And they can run this for 30 days a year. They have a permit to where they can do that for 30 days a year because that's their temporary signage. And so that's city approved, they can do that. But if there's a today only, if this sign down here said today only, then they probably wouldn't get in trouble for it. So me personally, can you tell I like these? So yeah, I do, especially for grand openings, grand reopenings, new buildings. Doc Motor Works has a grand reopening because they just moved buildings. This kind of stuff would work for them. You can also do just here's a trick. So this one, okay, and I put pricing on here so y'all would get an idea for pricing. If you ordered this at 17 feet tall, then it's $1,500. So yes, these work. And yes, if you have a shop that people didn't know was there, people will now know that that's an auto shop. Okay. And then you also have this one. You do not need a temporary sign permit for this one. Can anyone tell me why?
Technically
In
not
the
on the
back of the
ground.
truck.
Yeah, it's in a truck. That one runs $1,000. It's 8 feet tall, but it's in a truck, so it's not considered temporary signage. It's literally in a truck, and they can't ticket you for that. So even if they did ticket you, it wouldn't hold up. So in the event that you're just like, oh, I just every once in a while I want to put something up in my parking lot, you can have it. You're just pull up in your truck and have your inflatable in the back of the truck, and you're good. So the city might hate you for it, but they can't do anything about it. So we've done political campaigns. Has anyone here heard of 24-hour fitness? So 24-hour fitness, we did their campaigns when we launched their brand, and we rented advertising space on all sorts of unmarked box vans. And for 30 days before they opened their locations, we had box vans that said 24-hour fitness on it, and call and QR codes and stuff like that. And we didn't have to pull one permit because they were all on temporary trucks. And everyone knows who they are. It was a great campaign. It was called Rolling Ads is the company that we partnered up with for that, but that totally works. Okay. A-frame signs. The trick to making these work is that it says today only. That has to have this and some sort of an offer all in big and bold, but it has to say today only. So if you're or this week only, something to that effect. This could be Wiggs just did a very successful oil change for Valentine's, that it was 1 week only. We did a text blast. This kind of thing works for that. So this week only, oil changes X amount of dollars. And you can have these printed for super cheap, or you can have a plastic one. The advantage to these is that you can put rocks in the or bricks in the bottom and they don't blow over. So that is a high dollar trick of the trade right there, bricks and rocks. So if anybody has any feedback for any of these, let us know. Um, we did a campaign in Dallas with a dentist that this worked really well, but we had guys out that were spinning the signs the week before they opened. If you're spinning signs and having a grand opening, it's very temporary. It's only a week. Don't keep them out there. In Dallas, they do the Statue of Liberty lady for taxes. It's only for tax season that works for. You've seen that work for Little Caesars Pizza when they have their little Caesar guy out there, stuff like that. Okay. You can also have guest vendors. This would work for Fine Tuned Auto and some of their locations because they have additional ground. It would also work for Arts Auto because they have additional ground. If you have additional ground at your location and you bring in a taco truck for a couple days, you can let them come in for free, so long as with the transaction they give out a discount oil change. So they're just giving out coupons for your oil change, and you will help promote them on your Facebook page. Say, hey, we're gonna have this taco truck here. We love them, and do the cross promotion. And they also need to say, hey, we're gonna be at EBA Auto, for instance, and come on out and see us because they have a following. They should have a following. The trucks in your town should have a following. Um, so EBA could have. Have you seen the Frenchies trucks? Frenchie's Lawn Care there in Denton. There are some trucks that it's an orange bread truck that's converted into a landscaping truck, and they park them when they're not using them in different business locations, and you can actually people know them, so they can actually park them in your lot. But if you have taco trucks, that is something that if you're trying to get people to know that you're there, having an anchor like a taco truck come in just for a a day, a month, or something like that is good to just get people to pull into your parking lot for other reasons other than automotive.
Is there
Holiday
a lot of,
decor. Go
oh,
ahead.
can I ask a question on that? Is there a lot of the food trucks that move? Like, like
Yes.
the ones that seems like we have, they kind of have their staple spot that they always stay. But so it's not really those ones you'd probably approach. It'd be more of the ones that maybe hit up events and do stuff like that.
A
Or what do you think?
lot of food trucks will move around, and they like to try new locations, especially if you have good street location. Then just say,
Yeah.
hey, if you want to come out for like a day a month or a day a week or whatever it is, just to stick your toe in the water, see if it'll work. They do like to change things up.
That's cool.
So um, holiday decor, this helps to attract attention if it's done right, especially if you have holiday inflatables. Like I say, we've never had a city get on somebody for holiday inflatables, and they're great for company pictures and things like that. The holiday decor works really well, and it's an inexpensive way to get people to look at your shop. Roadside events. Um, we've had good luck with the fire department coming out for free and setting up a tent and just doing community awareness for fire safety. We've had the same experience with police departments. If you just have various roadside events, this is another great way to get people to come to your shop, get familiar with the fact that you're there in a totally unrelated way. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Um,
I oh, Ben.
go ahead.
Two things that I was wondering, on one of those buildings, it had like the block letters of the services that they do.
Yep.
And it seemed like there was a phase where you saw a lot of that, and I don't see it as much anymore. I don't have it on the shop, and it's something I've considered. Do you see that as a pro or con? What do you think there?
Especially if you're trying to get more diesel. Um,
Oh, okay.
the things that you're focused on that you want, I would have diesel over one of the bays, and just the ones that you're really focusing on. If you want Euro, I would put Euro. If you want some EV, I'd probably put EV over one of the bays. Uh, just things that you're trying to garner.
Okay.
Um, Euro is another good one to put over a bay.
Cool.
How about you, Cisco?
Yeah, so I think you're familiar with my area and in my problem. I have to be careful with how much signage I put on, uh, just because there are $1 million homes around me, and the city may come down and just, take all the signage off. So if I don't have that option, what else can I lean on to get people's attention?
Um, you have a lot of parking lot space, so maybe on a Saturday I would have a community event. I really like the community events. Um, the inflatable in the back of your truck, you don't have a lot of drive-by traffic. So I would be thinking you could literally have a car show in your entire parking lot. You could talk to other business owners and have a car show there as a benefit. And so that would bring people out. Anything that you can have that would bring people there that aren't normally there, because you do not have a lot of drive-by traffic.
Right.
So, Sam,
So
I do have a question about that. I know one of the things that is often suggested is having a car show, having a car show. I'm trying to think outside the box from, especially from the soccer mom perspective or something. I mean, if my wife on a given Saturday, the last thing that she's going to want to go do is a car show, right? So, what other community events is there that is possible that would be more family friendly?
you can, if you have the ability in your parking lot to where I need to look at your layout again. But if you have space like Cisco does, he could have a farmer's market, just like a 1 week farmer's market in his parking lot. He could have uh well, I know that you could do like a benefit yard sale if you're raising money for someone for a nonprofit thing. Your community would get behind that as well, and I've seen that do well. You could have a trunk or treat. If you have an organization in your community that you partner with for a trunk or treat, then soccer moms would definitely come out to that. But you don't do it on Halloween. You do it, a couple days before, especially if Halloween's not on a weekend. Then you would hold that on the weekend. If Halloween is like on a Wednesday, then you would hold it the Saturday before. And you always want to partner with another organization on this kind of stuff, and because you don't want to carry the whole marketing load on that. But just those various things to get people at your event. If you have parking lot space, then let's use it.
So there's a vendor close by
May-
that has pop up inflatables like the bouncy house and a pop up little water slide and stuff like that. Is that something that would work great in warm weather?
Yeah, if it's I would bring the fire truck out for something like that and just put it on steroids. Like all of those events, I would put a lot of sweat equity into to make sure that we get community support out of it. Like I say, I like to partner with other companies and other nonprofits for that kind of stuff. Ryan Baxter does a good job with that and partnering with fire department and things like that.
Princeton fire trucks we come up here.
One thing that we did, the nice thing about the fire truck is, or the fire department is, fire trucks are huge, and so when they're in your parking lot, it's everyone knows they're in your parking lot. And so we did um, like an EV training with them, because when they're using jaws of life to cut through a car, it matters where they cut, and there's a lot of prep with EV, and so for our market, that's something they they were unfamiliar with. And so we brought a bunch of EVs in the shop and basically just set it up to where they could take them apart and, you know, find all the firefighter access and stuff with them. So I thought that was, we've only done that once, but I thought it was a good thing. One other thought I had, I don't, you know, you guys are probably in larger cities than I am, but in our town, when I was trying to get permitting for some little signs like that, there was some like politics about I'm in a kind of a prominent location that they can see, and so they care more about my signs than other places. And so kind of a strategic thing that I did is I knew businesses around town that I knew had signs up way longer that weren't permitted, and it's a small office. So I just went in with a list of businesses and said, hey, can you get me proof of permits for all these businesses? And then I just waited, and then it's like the next couple days later, then I submitted that application so that they would have to feel like total idiots to deny me when I just highlighted the fact that they're inconsistent. So like,
Yeah.
kind of playing that game. Like it's not something I love to play, but sometimes that's a game you have to play. And so, you know, set the stage where they will they'll put themselves in a corner if they treat you differently than other places. So
I love it. And
I don't
also
love it, but it works.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and we've done all kinds of things, whatever's going to get attention, because you can actually rent the large inflatables. You've seen the inflatable gorilla. That does get attention. We've actually done a hot air balloon, you know, in a field next door, different things like that have worked to get attention. But we had connections with the hot air balloon, so it didn't cost us much. So look at your resources on how we could get attention. But I love what you shared, Ryan, as far as just asking your city to be fair with you. Temporary signage, it needs to look temporary. It needs to give a temporary offer. It needs to be this week only, that kind of fun stuff. That's the stuff that's going to grab people's attention. It can't be just brand recognition. It has to have some sort of value, and it has to be time sensitive. Thanks, everyone. Feel free to reach out to me with questions on any of this, and we'll talk to you next week.
Very good.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See ya.
Yeah.
Thank you.